Morning guys, welcome back to the 1394 project. Today we're going to start with the engine build, just getting started on it here. So the first thing I want to do is take my hone and I'm going to hone the cylinders. There's 4 cylinders on it, so we got a 4-inch dingle ball hone. I don't know what the proper term is for it, flex hone I think, but anyway, we got a 4-inch hone. It's 3 15/16 bore, so should be about the right size. So we'll hone the 4 cylinders on it, and I just want to get that done so we can clean up the block a little bit and make sure there's no grit or anything like that in it, and then move on to assembly and whatnot. So I'll show you guys what we're kind of dealing with here. So here's the block here. You can see it's hanging upside down. We have this thing is locked. This has this locked up so it can't drop anymore. Safety first. So it's hanging upside down, and I'm gonna do the bores from the bottom up, and the reason I'm doing that is I don't want to take the crank out, and nor do I want any of the grit and crap that we're honing out of it, to seep down over the crankshaft. So we're gonna do it upside down, and that way it'll run out the bottom, and then we can spray in down around the bores and whatnot with brake clean, and that should work pretty good. So I have done one a little bit. You can kind of see it down there. So it's not the prettiest thing in the world. It's got some staining on it and whatnot from it just sitting for so long. I did that one with my old hone, my 3-stone thing. And that one there is a little bit finer. That was done with the flex hone. So I'm just going to go through them again. This one here is probably alright, the first one. We'll run through the second one and the other 2 and just clean everything up. So this engine was sitting for a while, and it did have some water in it. So there is some rust on it. You can see the discoloration there. And that's mostly what it caused, is discoloration. It never did too much damage. I'll show you the pistons that come out of it. So those are the pistons there that came out of that engine, the 995 engine. The pistons, yeah, they're a little on the rough side. Broken ring. So anyway, they're not going back in anyway because they are non-turbo pistons. So we got 4 brand new pistons with rings, wrist pins, pin clips, the whole deal. These came from a David Brown specialist. Although I was kind of surprised they were just spare X pistons. I could have got them over here just the same, but we also got new bearings for the big end of the connecting rod, I guess they call it, over there, and we got the bushings for the top end as well. So we're going to have to remove those pistons off of these connecting rods. We'll take the old bearings out, which isn't a big deal, and get them all ready and whatnot to reinstall them in the engine. But first we got to deal with clean up the bores. So one step at a time. Oh yeah, and that's the 995 head with the manifold and the exhaust manifold and the intake manifold. So I got that up on Kijiji. We're gonna get rid of that. Not going to use it anyway. We took the head off the 1394 engine long ago, and it looks like it's been, I was told it was redone when I bought the tractor, and judging by the machined surface on the head and everything, and at least one new valve in it, I would say it was gone through. So we'll use the 1394 head because I need the valves. The exhaust valves are different on the turbo engines anyway, so we need the we don't need the 1394 head per se, but we need the valves that are in that head. So we might as well just use that whole head. And yeah, so Anyway, let's clean up those bores, I guess, first. Now, I suppose everyone has their own method of doing this. I'll do this to show you the first one, because I have done this quite a bit in the past and had good luck with it using WD-40. Except for I'm running out. Otherwise I keep using it. So, here we go. Oh, the whole block's turning on me. Anyway, I'm not here to do a whole how-to video on how to hone an engine or anything like that, but we'll have a look at it. I'm going to clean it up with some brake clean, have a look at the crosshatch and the cylinders. If I like it, then we'll move on to the next one. If not, I will do it again, and we may need to speed up the strokes up and down to get a different crosshatch, or slow down, whatever. So anyway, that's 2 cylinders done, and we'll just finish the other 2, and then we can move on to more exciting stuff. Well, we got the 4 cylinder bores done. Everything's looking pretty good. There is a slight lip to it at the top. This is the bottom side we're looking at. At the top there's a slight lip just from wear, and cylinder 1 has about the worst, kind of as far as a little bit of pitting, and you can see there is the staining from the rust. So I think this cylinder, the valve was open, the intake valve, and I guess that would mean this one was probably open too. So the 2 end ones are the worst 2, and the 2 center ones are actually pretty nice shape. So anyway, it is what it is. We could have the cylinder block bored and go through all that trouble, but yeah, I don't know. I think we're just going to live with what we got. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We'll have to figure something else out at that point, but I'm sure it'll be fine. It's not that bad. It'll be all right. So like I said, now we can move on to more fun stuff. We can take these piston assemblies apart. And it's not going to focus at all, is it? There we go. So yeah, we can take this piston off of this connecting rod and prep it for putting the new pistons on, which are here in this box. So as you can see, when I disassembled the engine, I marked these from 1 to 4 on which cylinder hole they came out of. Of course, now that we're rebuilding the engine and everything's not going back, we're replacing the bearings, replacing the pistons. It doesn't really matter what hole they came out of anymore. So we can just go ahead and disassemble these. But we do want to keep the caps with the correct connecting rods, so I will be careful and make sure of that at least. But as far as the pistons go, it's not going to matter. They're replacing these bearings anyway. So it's just going to be a matter of taking our snap ring pliers and pulling that out and driving out the piston pin. Alright, there's one separated, so you can see up at this end the bushing that we're going to have to somehow press out and press new ones into. And here's the old piston in all its glory. Alright, we'll do another one probably on camera. Alright, so this one is actually one of the nicer ones. This one is from cylinder 2. So we just got to remove these snap rings, which And you got piece of shit snap ring pliers. It's easier said than done. And I found, this side's a little bit uglier, I found it easier just to remove both sides on that first one I did. Cool thing about the Dave Browns is that all the engines kind of shared the same internal components. So these pistons are out of a 995 engine. They're 100mm bore, and the non-turbo pistons are all the same. So they're the same pistons that are in the 995. They're in the same pistons in the 885 too. It's just the only difference is the 885 is a 3-cylinder, and the 995 was a 4-cylinder. So the 885 used the same pistons. The 995 used the same pistons. Obviously, the 1390 would use the same. 1200 use the same. 1212, 1210. They all use the same. And then the turbo pistons are for, obviously the turbo engines. So the 1394 uses the same pistons as the 1694 and the 1494 and the, I assume, 1410 and 1412, but I'm not sure. So they're all kind of the same. They just change the number of cylinders, and they're different between turbo and non-turbo. The 990 was a little bit different, I think. I'm not 100% sure though. I'm not sure if the pistons changed there or if it's just the shorter stroke. Not sure which they had. So anyway, we'll stick a socket on here. Like that. And we got it apart. Now, if you actually cared about the piston, I guess you wouldn't do this. And I'm just going to reinstall the snap ring, so when we throw the piston in the junk pile, we don't got to throw them in separately. There we go. Hammer that back a little bit. That's what I love about these snap rings, and the snap ring pliers too. Just fly everywhere. Come on, meow. Get in there. There we go. Alright. There's another one done. And I'm going to mark this was 2. Just right there, just for reference. It's marked on the bottom already. Well, I'm not exactly sure where I left off in the video, but I did end up getting the 4 pistons assembled on the rods with the rings. I'm not sure if I showed much of that or not. So we're ready to start assembling the engine, I guess. I've been kind of putting it off, but I guess there's no time like the present. So I got it over here sitting upside down. I think we're going to turn it around. So I got to set it down on the floor, then lift it back up again after I flip it over. So it's right way up, and we'll drive the pistons down into the block that way. I'm after cleaning everything up on it, and it's all honed. I tested the block for cracks a while ago and all that stuff. So anyway, I want to get her done and out of here. This shop's a bit of a disaster zone, so the sooner I can get it over here in this part of the tractor and get it out of here, the better. So that's my plan anyway. So we're going to flip this over, and I'll meet up with you guys again after that, and we'll start putting pistons in it, I guess. Alright, we're going to start assembling this engine now. So, in the perfect world, you would have rebored this cylinder block the next size over, and everything would be just perfect. But We don't have the budget for that, so we're just putting in standard size pistons again. The block isn't too bad. There is very slight, you can just barely feel it. It won't catch your fingernail, but you can just barely feel it. Lip there. It's not the end of the world. We ran the hone through, put a crosshatch on them, so it is what it is. So we're going to put the pistons in now. When I took them out, I numbered them 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're putting them back in that order, even though it doesn't really matter because we're using brand new pistons, brand new rod bearings. Everything's brand new except for the connecting rods. So whatever, we're still going to keep them in that order, the same as they came out. So I'm just going to put it on time lapse, and you guys can see me install these pistons. So I don't think it's anything I need to explain about it. We're going to be using the piston ring compressor. So we got the scraper ring. Well, I'll show you the pistons, I guess. So I think you can see, yep, here's a piston. So we got our top ring, we got 2 rings under that, and we got a scraper ring on the bottom. So basically we'll have to compress this one separately because that's how my compressor is. Compress this one separately, get that started in the hole, and then move up here and compress these 3 and get it the rest of the way down. So yeah, pretty straightforward. I do have to make sure we put the pistons the right direction for the valve cutouts and or the injector fires, I don't know what you call it, but we got to make sure we get that right. And yeah, pretty straightforward. These are standard bore, they're SpareX pistons. They weren't really my first choice, but the place I bought them from, that's just what they sent. So anyway, we'll get them installed, and yeah, here we go. Now the lighting is a little bit poor here. We're just going through. I just snugged these rod caps down before, so just taking them back off. Not the caps, but just the nuts again. Just so I clean up the threads a little bit. Just using a touch of red Loctite on them. Not sure if it makes any difference or not. Red Loctite releases with heat, so I'm not sure if there'll be enough heat in the engine to release them or not, but I figured it was worth a try. They should be alright anyway, but they are nylock nuts too. So just a little bit of extra insurance. Don't want anything bad to happen. And then we can torque them down. Torque spec's 50 foot-pounds. Just clean up, make sure there's no extra Loctite. I know the lighting is poor, guys, I'm sorry. the way it is. So there's two done. Our two companion cylinders here, so now we can rotate the crank and get the other two done, and we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so we got the block on the floor. I'm not sure exactly where I left off in the video again. I'm just in here for an hour or so working. But I drilled the holes and threaded them for the feed for the turbo and the drain for the turbo. And the side of the block, the 995, never had a turbo on it, so we just added the lines for that in the locations where the casting had it from the factory anyway. So we got that done, and yeah, I'm just getting ready here now. I gotta clear off that, but we're gonna get ready to put the block in the chassis again. So like I said, I got to clean that off and just clean that surface up and get that ready. And when we get this up in the air, we'll clean that up on the bottom as well. But we're also getting the oil pump ready over on the bench. So here over on the bench, I got the oil pump apart. I wasn't going to do it, and I was going back and forth on it, but I decided it'd be better off if I just took the oil pump apart and make sure everything was clean inside. So I just got a little bit of assembly lube on the rotors, which I'll probably end up wiping most of that off there anyway. But yeah, just getting it ready, make sure everything's clean inside and putting it back together, and get ready to put it back in the engine so that it's, pumping oil, not full of gunk and stuff, because who knows what was in there before was kind of my thought. And yeah, so it should be good now. We'll just finish assembling it and get it installed in the engine, and then we'll be one step closer to putting it in the chassis anyway. Alright, so as you can see, it's a little dark, but we got the oil pump installed and the feed line, the part that holds the oil pump in right here. I never put the cap on that to lock it down, but I will when it's in the frame. I just got to grab the new copper washer for that out of the bag of gaskets and that. So we're just about ready. Got to clean off this here, and we'll be ready to drop the engine into the frame there, and then I'll put the head on and whatnot, but that'll be in the next clip or whatever. So hopefully after I wave my magic wand, we'll have the engine in there. Well, I got the surface here, this cleaned off, and I just did a test fit on this gasket here, and it fits all right. So yeah, running out of time here. I can't really procrastinate too much longer, but we're going to coat this up with some forma gasket, and we're going to put something RTV probably down in here on both ends right there, so that when we drop the engine in, it'll be all sealed up and everything. So yeah, I guess we're going to paint some forma gasket on the bottom sealing surface of that as well, coat up both sides of the gasket, and yeah, drop it in. Getting a little bit nervous. I don't know why, but anyway, nothing to it but to do it, I guess. Well, the engine's sitting in the frame. I got everything bolted down. I'm going to have to change the bolts that I have in there to longer ones. The ones I had weren't quite long enough, but for now we torqued it down and everything so everything can set up, and we'll just change those bolts one at a time later on. It won't be a big deal. So anyway, next thing we put the head on and whatnot. So that's one big step done anyway. Well, I have the 1394 head sitting here upside down, mind you. I decided I'm going to go with this head rather than the 995 head, which would have come off of that block. But the 1394 head, the valves are the same sizes, but the exhaust valves on the turbo engines are a little bit different. somehow, I'm not exactly sure, than the naturally aspirated engines. So rather than switching over valves and stuff, we're just going to drop the 1394 head on this engine. This head, I was told when I bought the tractor, it had been done. The guy said it was replaced, but I assume that wasn't the case anyway. But it does look like it was decked, I would say, fairly recently. It seems to me. So I would say it's probably been gone through. And we did know the head came off of that tractor because it had all kinds of, well, you can still see some of the remnants of it, the RTV and stuff, which we still have to clean up. But so yeah, they must have had the head off it and had it gone through and decked. I don't think the cylinder was. I don't think the cylinder was out of the track, or the cylinder, the engine block. I don't think the engine block was decked. I don't think that was out of the tractor, but the head must have been gone through. So I'm going to say that's the better of the two heads we have. The 995 head is sitting right here. Nothing really wrong with it. Like I said, it does have the different valves. This head was sitting for quite a while, I would say, with a rust and gunk in it, so that would require some cleaning up itself. And the thermostat housing is different, although we have, where's it at? Right here. I have it off anyway. I gotta clean it up and put a thermostat in it because there was none in the block. So yeah, this place is still a bit of a mess. We're just cleaning up a little bit, but anyway, once we get this thing out of here, it'll be a lot easier to clean up. So yeah, that's what we're doing right now. I'm just gonna finish cleaning up. Yeah, I'm gonna finish cleaning up that head and drop it on there, and then we can get ready and put the, well, I'll have to clean it up too, I guess. We'll just clean stuff up and put it on it. The rocker shaft and the push rods, I think the push rods are the same between the two engines. I'll have to check one, but one of those push rods that come out of the 1394 engine was bent, so we'll have to make sure that we put them all in the correct spots and everything. There's the bent one right there. Not sure what happened there. So anyway, no sense just continuing to talk about it. Let's throw that head on. Well, as you can see, I got the head gasket sitting on here. This is a Vapormatic gasket. I have another one. I'm not really sure what the brand it is. If I had to guess, I'd say it probably came from SpareX, but this one here is a Vapormatic, so at least I know what kind that one is. I didn't spray anything on it. I thought about it. I thought about putting copper coat on it or something, but I didn't have any. So we're just going to go with the gasket itself. It should have no trouble sealing anyway. I don't think it needs any sealant. But yeah, so we're ready to drop the head on. I just got to grab a hold of it and bring it over. There, it's sitting on there. Now it's time to put some nuts on it and the rocker shaft and torque it down. Well guys, I've been busy working at the engine here, and I have to apologize a little bit, I guess. Most of it's been off camera. As you guys can see, I think the last clip I have, we just put this cylinder head on. I didn't just set it there, but I've actually I got the bolts in, I got it torqued down, I got the injectors installed, as you can see, and yeah, yeah, I set the valve clearance as well, so everything's done there. And I've just been starting to clean up some stuff a little bit, and I've been taping off areas for when we go to paint this. So the plan still is, what I'm going to do, I'm going to set up something to catch the very back end of this frame, and I'm going to remove these stands. And when we remove the stands, we'll be able to paint the sides of the frame and everything, and paint the engine. So we're just going to tape off the areas where we don't want paint, like in here, kind of simulate as if it's mounted on the tractor. And same with the front here. We're going to we're going to tape off the area where the timing gears are. I could, what I should have did was I should have left the cover and primer and then painted it on there. But I wasn't thinking when I did that. I already got the cover over there on the bench painted, so I don't want to, have to sand it or whatever. I do have another cover I could put on it just to save me from taping, but whatever. It doesn't matter. We'll just tape that off and paint that. So this area here was painted before, as you guys know, with it was top coated too, I think, wasn't it? We did PR50 and then the top coat over the top of it. So this here area is ready to go. We will tape this off too, and we'll paint the sides of the frame up here, but we'll leave the axle. We don't need to paint that for now. The axle is going to have to come out of here at a later date anyway, because we have to rebuild the bushings and the pivot and a few other things. So after we get the tractor back together, we'll be putting the jacks back under it again and pulling the axle out from under it anyway. So we're not worried about painting the axle, we're just worried about painting the frame and the engine and the head. So I got the neck here for the thermostat housing installed kind of temporarily. We're going to paint it on there, but it's going to have to come off again because I got no thermostat in this head. I have to order one. The head didn't have one, and I keep forgetting to order it. I probably would have replaced it anyway with a new thermostat, but I just keep forgetting to order it. So we'll have to order that and get that installed at a later date. But for now, we can just temporarily bolt it down here and get the thing painted and pull it back off again. I'm not too concerned about chipping the paint here or whatever. We can touch that up later. So yeah, that's kind of an update basically, I guess, where we're at right now. I got to tape off. I got these side covers on too. I left these off until I got this rocker arm assembly, rocker shaft assembly installed in the head. It was a bit of a pain in the ass making sure the push rods are all lined up on the what do you call it, the cam followers or whatever in the bottom. That was a bit of a pain, but we did manage to get it done. It took me probably 3 or 4 times. I had to take that off and put it back on again. I kept getting them out of place or whatever, and that kind of sucked. But we got everything all right. We don't want to have them one out of place or something like that and end up bending a push rod. There is one, here it is right here. There is one floating around that came out of the 1394 engine. I'm not exactly sure the story on that or what happened, but one of the push rods got bent, so I ended up just stealing one of the push rods out of the 995 engine. The rest of them are still 1394 push rods. They look a little bit different, but they're the same length and everything, so should be fine on that. So yeah, that's basically where we're at right now. You can see I got no manifolds on it yet. I got to finish taking off the turbo is sitting right over there. I got to finish taking the turbo off of the manifold because you have to get the turbo replaced. So I'm going to put just the manifold on when I get that turbo off, but I haven't done that yet. The intake manifold is up in the shop. We'll be able to probably take that down here today, and we can put the intake manifold on, I think, because is that going to get painted black too? I think so. So we can probably put that intake manifold on. And I got I'm working on the cover for the valves, the valve cover. You can see I got the gasket sitting here. I just had temporarily, I didn't want any dust and whatnot. Dad was doing some sanding here. I don't know what I did with it, but anyway, I had it's right here in front of me. Duh. So yeah, the 995 valve cover is sitting right here. There's no paint on this one, but I'm not going to use this one. I got the 1394 valve cover. They're the same, I think. But I got the 1394 valve cover sitting over there on the backhoe tire. I'm just stripping the paint off it and stuff and cleaning that up. And also underneath we got the oil pan. I don't got the oil pan on yet, but I have it, well, it's right over there in that other bucket. I have it over there in the other bucket, stripping the paint off that and getting it all ready for primer and whatnot. So that's the plan. So once we get all that done, we will be able to clean the engine up for one final time with the brake cleaner and the grease and wax remover. We'll hit it with like a 2K primer, and then we'll hit it with the PR15 2K urethane epoxy paint. So that's the plan. That's some nasty stuff to spray too, so we'll have to be extra safety. It would be nice to spray it outside, but I don't think we're going to get that lucky. So anyway, we'll deal with that when the time comes. Oh yeah, the flywheel is also on. I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but the flywheel is installed, as you guys can tell. I installed that today and folded over the locking tabs on the thing there, on the bolts, the 4 bolts that hold it on. So that's ready to go too. And yeah, I got the oil filter covered, I should say, where the filter housing goes on. That was another boo-boo on my part. That was another thing I shouldn't have painted. I got kind of carried away when I was painting stuff and priming it before, cleaning up stuff. I should have just primed it and left it so I could install it in the engine and paint it all at once, but I got kind of ahead of myself a bit there, I guess. So now I got to tape some stuff off, but that's all right. So yeah, one piece at a time. So let's do a little bit of work on this, I guess, to finish off the video. And yeah. All right, so the engine is together and in the frame, as you can tell. And I decided I'm going to cut the video off here because the next step with the engine is I'm going to paint it. So once we get it painted, that'll be in another future video, of course. But after that, we'll do another like part B or part 2 of the engine build, I guess, because once it's painted, then I can start putting on stuff like the, well, you can see right there on the table, maybe not. But anyway, we got the injection pump, water pump, power steering pump, the cover for the front, all that stuff's got to go on it, but that can't go on it until it's painted. So we're just going to stop the video here, and we'll pick up again in another video after this is painted. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching part 1, I guess, or part A of the engine build, and hope you guys will continue watching. So see you in the next one.